Writers Happy Hour. Today I am joined by Gamebunny, Sasha. He is a young, starting out author. You can find him on Wattpad at Gamebunny025. He's currently working on his project, Phantom Trooper. It is ongoing, so feel free to follow him and read along and watch out for new updates and stuff like that. Hang on, you got a little squished there again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. All right. Um, but yeah, you got guys, go ahead and give him a follow and give him some support and love. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So obviously people can find you on Wattpad. Where are the other places you're at again? Oh, I lost you. Where are the other places you're at again?
I'm on novel. I post my work on Wattpad. Yeah. I'm on web novel. I post on Wattpad and then I copy paste it on web novel. It's under the same name.
Okay. It's under the same name on web novel. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funny.
So obviously you're working on Phantom Trooper. Are you doing anything else right now, or are you just focusing on Phantom Trooper right now?
I'm focusing on Phantom Trooper right now, but when I still got to write two more chapters before I get into the third arc.
Mm-hmm.
When I get to the third arc, I'm gonna start the world building. I have friends who show me several like websites for making maps, and I'm gonna like draw maps, make maps, and I'm gonna make two worlds actually. I'm gonna make the world for Phantom Trooper
Mm-hmm.
and for Divine Champion. Now, what Divine Champion is? It's this other book I'm writing. I didn't start anything officially. It's still like in processing. It's still in development.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be my side book. It's gonna be something I'm writing on the side as opposed to like Phantom Trooper.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
Cool. Well,
yeah,
we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. So
yeah.
I know.
It's inspired by. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So we talked about it a little bit beforehand before we came on, but go ahead and let everyone know, how you got started and what kind of got you into writing.
Oh, okay. So, about 7 months ago in May of this year, to 2020, a guy on Discord that was a part of a Discord group, a guy named Nico, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He was writing this book on Wattpad called Bushin, and I read it and I was like, wow, this is great. I wish I could do this. And he was like, well, you can't. Just download Wattpad and start writing. And like I was just mind blown at the time because like I had this idea in my brain for like a year, but I didn't know what to do with it. And after he introduced me, I started writing. I've been writing for 7 months now. Um, when I started out small. I made like 6 chapters in 10 days, but they were short, like very short.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they like kept getting reads, they kept getting votes and the comments saying that people want more, and I just kept going, And I did everything on the fly. I just read the chapter before, and I was like, okay, what could be good to continue, and then I just wrote that down. So if you're starting out and you're afraid that you didn't plan out something, it's okay. Just write it. Just write.
Right.
Like everything. If you're gonna read my book, remember everything you're reading. I wrote it on the fly. I never sat down and once thought to myself, okay, let's make a journal. Let's make notes. No, I just sat down and wrote the first thing that came to my mind. And don't be afraid of that. All right, don't. Just write, and it will turn out good. Trust me, it
Yep.
will.
Yep. Those ideas will flow through. If you just start getting it on pen and paper. Um, so to kind of transition into more flow stuff like that. What inspirations do you draw from when you're writing? Like what kind of, movies, books, whatever, different cultural things that you kind of pull from when you're writing?
Okay, so for about 2 years, I guess 2 years, I've been watching a lot of anime and reading a lot of manga.
Hmm.
My favorite manga of all time is Berserk. I don't know if you read Berserk or not, but
I haven't,
it is
no.
amazing. It is a masterpiece written by Kentaro Miura. It is
Hmm.
legendary. Um, so Berserk is a big inspiration for me. It's this thing where there's this guy who keeps pushing through, fighting like demonic creatures, and the thing is, he is strong and independent, but he's also this very lost man. He lost his cause, he lost his goal, he lost his meaning to live, but he still keeps pushing on towards this one thing that he strives for, which is killing every single apostle, which is this, demon creature.
Hmm.
You know, like these creatures took his people away from him, and he wants to get revenge, and that's the only thing that's pushing him forward. So it's this like strive to never give up, to keep pushing forward. That no matter how hard life gets you on your knees, you have to keep getting up. And an inspiration for that was an inspiration for my main character, main
Right.
protagonist, because he also didn't have a normal life. His life was full of it was full of pain, full of just destruction and death, and he grew up not knowing what a normal life is, and but he keeps pushing towards his goals. He keeps trying to find himself, and I guess that's what I want from a character. Like, I want a character that is lost way,
Hmm.
but eventually finds his way in life. Like he finds a purpose. That's why I'm a big sucker for character development.
Hmm.
So I want my book to focus on my character more so than on the world around it.
Right.
You know, and and like I said, I took a lot of inspiration from Berserk in that sense, like in the sense that it follows Guts, it follows his character, it follows his development, and well, sure, there is a whole world. There are more characters. There are more things happening. We don't see them. We only see Guts, and we only see what he does.
Right.
That's good in my opinion. Yeah, and also this particular genre of anime like intrigued me. Isekai, if you know.
Hmm.
It's this thing where the main character dies, quote unquote dies, and he gets transported into a different world.
Right.
So I liked it. I liked it. I liked the premise because like, oh wow, so he with his knowledge goes into this other world, and what's he gonna do?
Right.
And I found it interesting. But I kept seeing this cliche zero to hero harem that he doesn't use properly thing. Like a
Hmm.
nerd to cool and everything, and I was like, okay, it's funny, but it's getting irritating. Like
Right. A little overplayed.
it's all you see. It's
Right.
just all you see, right? And I'm like, okay, so instead of zero to hero, let's have a character that's already badass, already unkillable, already already just hero, quote unquote,
Hmm.
and put him in a world that isn't peaceful. It's a war zone, and we'll see how he, goes from there.
Right.
I have this like whole thing planned out. I'm gonna like I said,
Oop, deluge.
I'm gonna start making up the whole world and everything, and it's gonna be great.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So I know you said you had your buddy on Discord that kind of got you into it. So have you had any other like? Are you kind of using him as like a mentor to help you kind of get along through this journey, or are you kind of doing it on your own?
Well, I'm doing it on my own. He just introduced me to the general app. He didn't really like walk me into the writing process because I think
Right.
he was also like a starting writer. And
Yeah.
obviously he's been writing more than I do, but he never like talked me into it. I just thought the whole thing through on my own.
Right.
Um, I am in another group where we talk about writing. It's a Worldsmith's Campfire, if you can
Yep.
find it there.
Yep.
We talk about writing there. We have fun, we have people like around the world and everything, and we all share our work. We all make critics about it. We give tips, we give inspiration, and like I mean, if you're a writer and you're starting out, just go to a writing group, any writing group. Just go to other writers. Don't be alone. One problem I had was that I was alone for about 6 months. From May to about November, I think I was alone.
Right.
I had no one. Like, I had no one. I was on my own. And when I joined this group, things became much easier. Like I realized where I was wrong. I realized how to write better. I realized like how I should plan things out. And I wouldn't know how to make worlds if it wasn't for them. So a big thank you for Campfire for all of that.
Right. Yeah, those groups are really great to get into. I know last week Dan kind of touched on it a little bit. But I find having a group of people around you that are kind of reaching for the same goal and are, willing to help um help others reach their goal is a great place because you can always grow and expand, and you know that the criticism isn't coming from a place of hate, it's coming from a place of helping. And you really need that love and that support that these groups kind of give you when you're going through and starting out like you are, because you can get in a bad group and it can turn you away from writing real quick.
Yes, yes,
And
definitely.
finding a good group that's there to help is definitely one of the best things you can do starting out and
Yeah.
helping you build your writing style. So and to kind of move into writing style, what kind of themes do you go for when you write? Like, what are your general themes?
Themes. Well, like I said, I was always like sick of the whole cliche thing, like it's with the hero. So
Right.
the general theme, like I focus a lot on psychology.
Mm-hmm.
I focus on what kind of events trigger different feelings. I focus on general action and war and the effects of all of that. I focus also on more social things, like how do different people interact with others, and because I like my main character Yuri, he's in a group of all they're all military, right? But they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
You have Franklin, who's this bombastic dad of the group. He's always out there to look after everyone. You got Carla, who's just this child who annoys everyone. You got Victoria, who's like she's the hardened spirit. She's the one that she's like the mom of the group. And then Takeshi is this one that he's also pretty important because he shows what Yuri could be. So that's also what I focus on. I focus on characters changing other characters. You
Right.
know, like because obviously you can change alone, but it's not the same. It's easier. It's better when you change with others. So I always push my character towards more groups, towards people. Even if he wants to go away from people, I push him towards people because
Right.
that's what life's supposed to be. It's supposed to be around others.
Right.
And yeah, I just keep putting them in scenarios he doesn't want to be in, and that's how he gradually changes.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely like that. I like, basically forcing a lone wolf character to get along with other people because it does create a lot of conflict and a lot of room for development in in a character. Um, and so I know you had touched on psychology and stuff like that. Do you have any like messages you're trying to get across? You know, with either pertaining to whatever psychology, whatever. What kind of like
Well, yeah, yeah.
messages do you want to portray to the reader?
Well, yeah. The one biggest thing, the one biggest part is that you are never alone.
Awesome.
No matter how no matter how much you think that you are alone, you are lonely, you will never find anyone. That's that's just not true. That is the biggest lie you can tell yourself because even if that person is on the other side of the world, that person still exists.
Right.
That person is out there, and you gotta you gotta push further. And that's the other part. Um, Life is hard. All right, we all know that
Mm-hmm.
life is hard, but you can't just like crawl somewhere and let it happen. If life is hard, you have to be hard. If life is tough, you have to be tough. You have to keep pushing forward and never give up. Um, so the thing I always focus on strength. I always focus on general strength, but not strength in purely physical sense. Also in strength that in the fact that how do I say this? That you are strong enough to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Um, Whether it be something like lifting the weights or passing a math test or meeting people because you were strong enough to fight your fears. It's all about like core strength. It's all about facing your fears, and it's all about never letting anything, anything ever hold you back.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and I also focus a lot on like grim stuff. I focus a lot on like vengeance
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, my character didn't have a good childhood. He lost everything, and some like his brothers were murdered, and he got revenge. He did, but like obviously you you're gonna say that, oh, it's cliche, like he got revenge and it didn't do anything for him. Like he knows
Right.
that, but he still found solace in this vengeance. Um, the fact that those killers were dead means that they could never kill anyone again. He was at peace knowing that he stopped something bad from happening, you know. And well, he was empty for a long time and he didn't know what to do because not his family was dead, you know. He um he was still happy that he managed to prevent that from happening again to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's also one of the big pointers, and that's going to be a thing later on in my book, how different characters are gonna get like different vengeance plots, how they're gonna want to get revenge, and Yuri isn't gonna be like the cliche dad that's gonna say, don't succumb to the vengeance. He's gonna instead he's gonna push them towards that, right?
Right.
I keep seeing this thing where some people try to get others out of revenge, while in other cases, revenge is taken away from them. This manga I read, Vinland Saga, in it, the main character wants to get revenge for his father. He's been trying to for 11 years, but the killer gets killed by someone else, right? And I didn't really feel this, because on one hand, sure, him killing the killer wouldn't solve anything, but at the same time, uh, you kind of like just destroyed the whole purpose of the character. The whole story was, I mean, a part of the story was just building up towards him getting revenge, but he never got it.
Right.
And so what was the point? Like, what was the point of those like 11 years of hardship? You know. Instead, I liked the idea of getting revenge, but then seeing that revenge can give you anything, you know,
Right.
because some people, I mean, obviously you feel hollow and empty when you get revenge, but some people need to feel that emptiness so they can move on, right? Because when you're empty, you can be filled with other things, you know? And now that he didn't kill the killer, he still has that inside him, and he's never gonna let that go, you know?
Right.
And I keep pushing away from that, you know? Like I want characters to get their revenge, but I also want them to learn from it. I don't want them to go like, oh wait, this didn't give me anything, but I want them to learn something from that, you know?
Right. Um, yeah, awesome. I definitely like the whole um showing that you're not alone and that there is somebody out there for everybody. No matter where that may be, and I think that message is gonna help a lot of people coming through. Not only in writing but just in life. There's always somebody. There's always somebody out there that'll be willing to talk. That'll be willing to be there for you. That'll be willing to help. And I do like that message. Um. So, what kind of who would you say would be your favorite writers? Either authors or
Yeah,
comic
yeah.
writers, whatever it may be.
Okay, well, first off, like I said, a Japanese manga artist called Kentaro Miura,
Right.
who wrote Berserk. Um, First, he is very, very good. Like, if you didn't read Berserk, you should just go and read it because it is a masterpiece. It is a great experience. So, he's definitely someone who I like look up to in terms of character development. Um, but yeah, I didn't really like think about this because, well, sure, there are a lot of good writers. I don't really think about them. I think about their books. I always look at the book first, and because it doesn't matter like who the author is if the book is good, you know. So I always like wanted to read the work and then pull out the message from the work, you know. And yeah, I never really like looked into different authors and their inspirations because I always wanted to find it out by myself because that's how I learn better. I learn better by doing it myself, um, or seeing someone do it and then replicate it. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean that's a very interesting approach on that. I think you can really develop your own style by doing it that way. And who people who have artists that they rely heavily on to get inspiration from tend to kind of mimic their tendencies, and it could become a bad thing. And I think having your own style, kind of doing your own way and making your own way is definitely a good way to get your own style and your own voice out there.
Yeah.
um so when you write, I know you said you kind of just write all out, and you're kind of in flowing. Do you listen to any kind of music? Do you put yourself in any kind of mood before you start going,
Um.
or do you just kind of?
Uh. Well, I do listen to music, but I listen to music beforehand. Like I go on a lot of hikes. It's my hobby. I go on a lot of hikes, a lot of walks while listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm listening to music, depending on the tune, depending on the song, I start uh, thinking of different scenarios. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like when I listen to the Gangster's Paradise orchestral version,
Yes.
I I think about um, a scene with the Yuri and the other characters together over a sunset because it just takes you to a different place. Um, but when I listen to All Good Things and their song Get Up, I think about a fight. I think about the character getting beat down, but he keeps getting up and he keeps winning.
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to like some Viking music, I think about the Northmen from my book. I keep thinking about the character development, how they're gonna look like and how they're gonna act.
Right.
Yeah, if I listen to something hardcore or something action, I think of battles. I think of action sequences. I think of fights or duels or anything that has action and adrenaline in general. If I listen to calm music, calm songs, I keep thinking of sad moments. I keep thinking of things that like characters um, together. I keep thinking of different like interactions. And if I listen to some sad, dr- like dramatic music, I keep thinking of like loss. And if I listen to happy music, I keep thinking about happy festivities. And it's all about the different tune. What you're listening to is gonna impact on what you write
Right.
because that like that's our minds. Because like I listen to a lot of hard rock and metal,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why my book has a lot of war scenes and battle scenes and action scenes. And while I do listen to a lot of like instrumental songs and I listen to a lot of sad songs and things like that, and I do have parts of my book that are dedicated to developing characters and interactions and just sad and happy things. I tend to focus more so on the action than on other things. But I do balance it out. Like I said, I'm gonna start planning. I'm gonna write a journal and I'm gonna start planning out my world and start planning out my story. But the music is gonna be a big influence
Right.
because depending on what kind of song I'm listening to on and focusing on a different subject, I can generally make up the whole scene in my head. Like when I was thinking of battles, I was always trying to find epic battle music. Just look up epic battle music,
Right.
or like epic bagpipe music.
Yep.
It's gonna be, and you're gonna find a video called "Epic Battle Bagpipe." And yeah, it's awesome, and it's this orchestral bagpipe thing, music over the trailer for For Honor,
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought it was amazing, and I kept making up battle scenes and with different battles and different characters and different armies, and yeah, like I said, depending on the song that you're listening to, it can definitely impact on how you're writing and what you're writing.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. So what I was, I said last week. My tendencies when I write is I either pick movie scores of the movies that I want to kind of get the feel of in my comic book. So I pull from True Detective, Blade Runner 2049, Drive, movies like that, and I like the '80s heavy synth style music, and I tend to draw from that when I write, and it definitely helps get you in a mood, and it helps you really get the set and setting of,
Yeah,
you know, where you want your writing to go.
definitely.
Um, so what are some like pitfalls or kind of bumps in the road that you've had as you've gone along in
Yeah.
writing?
Um, okay, so this is a thing I'm telling all writers. If you start making up a story and you already made up a part, but you think that something else should be added and you're kind of scared if you want to put it there or not, put it there. Do it. Because I had this problem for a long time. When I started the second arc and I wrote the first two chapters, I think, I was gonna move on to chapter three, but then my mind just clicked and I thought to myself, what if I added something more? You know, what if I add this one scene, like this one extra chapter, this one sneak peek, and everything just collapsed because I didn't know if it would be good or bad. I didn't know if people would like it or not. Like I was too caught up on the fact that would it work?
Right.
Like would it work? And for a month, like for a month I didn't write anything. Just I was just thinking about would it work? And my message is do it. Just do it. Like even if you have the slightest belief that it will work, it will work, you
Right.
know. Like just, just do it because I do often I do get into I get writer's block. I do
Yeah.
get the sense that I didn't make this right, I should change it, or it's just I'm just not coming up with something, and that can be a problem with writing in my style because I like I said, I write on the fly. I never make up anything beforehand, and that can somewhat be detrimental because when you're writing, you keep writing and then you stop because you didn't thought ahead, like just didn't think ahead enough,
Right.
far enough ahead, and you're like, oh man, like what do I do? Like how do I continue? Oh, and I had that problem, and well, eventually I did overcome it. It took like 3 weeks. Like I was stuck on a chapter for 3 weeks. I just couldn't write anymore. I was like, how do I continue? How do I continue? And then um, what I'm trying to say is, if you think something will work, but it wasn't originally in your plan, do it anyway. You know, because
Right.
I mean, like anything to benefit the story. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And you can always, in the sense of kind of what you're doing with the Wattpad and stuff like that. Um, you can always in anything. You can always go back and change. If you think it's good and you put it in and it isn't good, then you can just go back and change that. But if you don't put it in and it is good, and you just never put it out there, you'll never know if it would have worked. You never know where it could have gone. And definitely doing that, just kind of putting it out there and adding it in and waiting for that feedback to come in from either, doing it on Wattpad, getting feedback from your readers, or through um, doing it through like with editors and with a team behind you kind of helping you work through it before you publish it. Either way, somebody's going to let you know whether or not it works or not. But the point is, just do it. Just get it out there. And I said this last week, and you know, people will always tell when you believe in something. When you write, people will tell if you believe in it or not, and they will eat you alive if what you're writing you don't believe in. You know, you
Yeah,
have to
exactly.
really put forth the effort and the passion behind your writing. And if you do that, if it's not good, okay, hey, I tried. If it's good, look, I did it. It's great. I can move. I can keep going, and that kind of will tend to bust that block off of your
Yeah.
writer's block. You know. So, other than your web novel, would there be any other kind of media that you'd want to write in, like comics or anything like that?
Well, not right now because right now I'm doing this on my own. Like my brother will help me out like in the future with my world, but as of now, I'm doing everything by myself, and I can't draw at all. You know, like I planned on making like a comic book story about this, but I just can't draw at all. So I just
Well,
like keep.
and you don't necessarily have to draw to be able to put it in a comic book, because I can't draw. I can't draw to save my life. But, I had my story idea, and the thing is if you kind of, you'll find somebody that you work well with. I went through three separate artists before I found the guy that I like right now, and I found him through Reddit. And if this is something you'd want to do as a comic book, um, you just definitely put yourself out on Reddit and wherever, kind of get into some comic book discords and stuff, because there's always artists looking for work. You know, the issue where you find is you have to find somebody, because you're gonna have to pay for them.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, is getting the money together to pay for them. But you find one that maybe isn't, that expensive, or is just starting out just like you and looking to make a name for himself. You can kind of, you build a good enough rapport, you can kind of basically say, hey, look, let's work on this thing in our free time. Let's get it put together. And I'll split half the profits of whatever we make when we do a Kickstarter or whatever with you, or you own half of it, kind of thing. Um,
Yeah. Makes sense.
and you can always find somebody that'd be willing to do art for what you want to do, so if you want to do that kind of thing, if you want to do a comic book, you don't limit yourself just to Wattpad. You can definitely turn this into a comic book. It can definitely be something that you could work with. But yeah, so another thing wanted to touch on. So obviously you're younger. Writing really isn't your main like your main focus right now.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff, or what other stuff do you have going on in your life, and how do you balance that personal and writing life in your day to day?
Well, right now, well, it's COVID. It's
Right.
lockdown.
Yeah. Everything's kind of all screwy right now.
Yeah. So right now, I'm going to a veterinary technician school in
Awesome.
Slovenia, and I like it's winter break right now, so I'm gonna have more time to write. But when it's not winter break, when it's school time, I usually just take up like maybe an hour a day in the evening, and I just write. You know,
Yeah.
I tend to like the way I balance this out is I don't necessarily write every day. You know, and when I do write, it's maybe for an hour, maybe hour and a half, two at the most, and yeah, it's just I don't really see this as something I do full time, 100%. I obviously have stuff to do in general in my personal life, so I tend to get as much of my free time as I can into this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's working. It's been working so far. Like I don't know how it's gonna be in the future after I finish school and whatnot, but right now it's working out. Very good.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so, do you kind of have an end goal with your writing, like where you want to go with things? Do you want to take it further up? Do you want to eventually get published into a novel? That kind of stuff. What's kind of your end goal with your writing?
Well, I guess I do want to publish it at some point, but nothing right now because I like yes, it's good, but I don't have anything solid with publishing it.
Right.
It's like I still have to work out more on the plot, and I still have to make up the whole thing about the world and everything, and like it's like I still get like popular enough, and I still have to find the right publishers. So things are going slow, but I like it. It's good enough right for me right now. Um, as of now, I don't have any big ideas, but I I do want this published at some point in the future when I finish more of it. You know.
Right. Right. And then that's one of those things that, as you go along and the years go on, you tend to hone everything down and edit and cut and revise and do all this stuff. I have a friend of mine. He wrote a novel when we were freshmen in college, I think, and he was working on it for a while. And then the first one came out. When he put it out, it was maybe 300 pages, something like that, and he wound up going through for 2 years and revising the whole thing and rewriting. And when he published the second edition of that book, it went from like 300 pages to like 500, 600 pages, just from adding and world building and changing up writing style and how he wanted to get his message across. And you know those things definitely take time. But I think the further along you go, I mean, dude, you're just starting out. You're gonna get there, and your writing's really good already. Just starting out, your writing's really good, and
Thanks.
I think the further along you go and the more you work at it, you're definitely gonna be able to hone it down into something, you know, very good, and will definitely get picked up and published. So I wouldn't stray away from getting published, and I would definitely focus on to keep writing. And maybe once you're done with the second arc, go back and read through the first two arcs, because from when you started the first one to when you end the second one, your writing style's already changed 20 times. you
Yeah,
know
right.
and I would go back and reread everything, and take notes while you're reading it of what you would change, what you'd like to fix, how you'd like to move things around, and go back and kind of revise everything and hone it down as you go along. And
Yeah, I did. I did get this in my this talk in my group. Like a guy said that he's just not feeling like when he read a chapter that I shared. It was I think it was the latest chapter. It was arc 2, chapter 23, I think. I don't know. It's a man named Reaper.
mhm.
When he read it, he was like, "I'm just not feeling this because he's not the fan. He's not a fan of the whole script style, you know."
Right.
And yeah, and I get that. I get that I do because as as a writer, I'm a generalist. I focus more on dialogue and showing things through dialogue rather than having like a few words spoken and the whole chapter is just talking about the environment and how and the sounds and everything, which people like when a writer thoroughly describes something, and I get that, but I'm not the type that does that much. I well, like when I do it, it's good, but I focus more so on the dialogue and showing things through a dialogue, you know,
Right.
rather than having a chapter left out, like having like half a chapter like left out to talk about a forest, you know, and
Right.
it's cool. It's cool. Like I admire people that can do that. Like I admire people that have the patience and have the mind to describe everything from a tree or a mountain to a leaf and an ant. I admire that. I do. And but it's not something that I would actively do. I will do a bit more of it, but I mainly focus on dialogue and explaining things through dialogue rather than leaving out several paragraphs and explaining it, because I find that like info dumping. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm following a writer on Wattpad. He's writing a fanfic about Gates, the anime,
Mm-hmm.
and he has a lot of chapters where he tends to leave out, like he just tends to bring something up in a dialogue, and then he leaves out several paragraphs talking about it. And it's cool because people can read up about it, can know more about it. I'm one of those people, but um, some people don't like that and they want to get into the plot and they want to keep the story going, you know,
Right.
because let's say like I'm writing the third arc and I bring up a battle or a war, and then I have to, and I like people don't know what it is, so I have to leave out like 4 paragraphs to talk about it. And some people might like it and some people might not. And it's a gamble. So that's why I'm gonna write another book, which is just the lore book. You
Right.
know, so as I'm building my world, I'm gonna publish another book which is all about the world that the Phantom Trooper takes place. You know, the whole continent,
Mm-hmm.
the history, the people in it, the conflict, everything. Now, obviously, it's not gonna have characters. All the characters are gonna be um, introduced in the plot book. So I'm gonna have the plot book and the lore book. So if you want to know more about the world, you can read the lore book. If you just want the plot, the story, just read the plot book. It's up to you. So it's more work, but this way I'm giving people a choice. I'm giving them a choice to, you know, if they want to know more, they can know more, and if not, it's fine. You know.
Awesome. Yeah. I definitely, you know, I wouldn't stray away from like explaining, scenes or like what the room looks like that they're in and stuff like that. But I get where you're coming from, having these exposition dumps on explaining a backstory of something or explaining the backstory of the forest when you're in the middle of a plot and it kind of slams the brakes on the flow of the plot and just kind of throws everything into chaos because you kind of get lost. You get
Yeah.
lost in the lore, I guess, before and it breaks the plot apart into segments, and it kind of feels
Yeah.
choppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, like I always thought that like manga and comics don't have much of a problem because you can just make it like you could just make the setting through visual like storytelling. You know, you can just draw something and it will explain itself. You know,
Right.
rather than you have to write paragraphs to explain it or having dialogue to explain it because you know readers can just see what it is. But when it's a book, it's different because you have to like write down every detail.
Right. Right. And it can get a little long winded and it can get a little choppy when you do it that way. I definitely understand that. So, what would be any kind of advice you would give for guys just starting out, such as yourself? What, you're kind of in the middle of it and you would be a really good person to give advice as to,
Okay, so number one advice: don't be afraid. All right,
right.
if you're publishing on a public platform for free, don't be afraid. All right, um, I was never afraid of it. Like when I published it, I I never once thought, what if someone won't like it? I always thought, what if someone would like it? You know,
Right.
because there are millions of readers out there, all right, literal millions, and someone out there will like your work, all right, and don't get discouraged just because someone else doesn't like it, you know. If they don't like it, then just don't think about it, you know. Like I always think about the people who enjoy my work, and that's what gives me motivation. People that enjoy my work and find it good, I always think about them and always think about how they wouldn't like it if I dropped the book. So I just keep writing for them. And always focus on your motivation. Always focus on what brought you to writing. You know, if it was to relieve stress, or if it was to try out as a hobby, or if it was to make people laugh, to make people cry, to make people feel excitement, if it was to, I don't know, prove a point. You know, just focus on what brought you to writing. You know, always think about the things that pushed you towards becoming a writer. You know, and always think on the positive, never on the negative, because like I said, if someone doesn't like your book, then so what? Like
Yeah.
it's their opinion, you know,
Right.
and not everyone is gonna like everything, you know. Like I'm pretty sure there are people who don't like my book. I'm pretty sure, but
Right.
I don't care. Like I don't care about that because I have a lot of people that do like it, and that's what's important, you
Yep.
know. So just focus on what motivated you to get to becoming a writer, and always focus on the positives, you know. Just like if it was for the people, if it was for yourself, or if you just felt fucking bored, all
Right.
right, just it doesn't
Do it.
matter,
Get it
all
out
right,
there. Yep.
just get it out there. And if it's something that has 100 words or 1,000 words or 100,000 words, just get it out there. Because if you don't, it's gonna eat you up inside, you know.
Yep.
Like that's what I always thought about chapters. That like whenever I was planning on something, I always thought like first I was thinking that this won't work, but then when I write, I was like, oh man, maybe that could have worked, maybe. And then I had this feeling that I forgot something. Like had this feeling that I was disappointed at myself because I didn't do what I wanted to do. Like yes, I wrote something, but it's not the thing that I wanted to write. You know, so always, again, always focus on what motivates you. Always focus on the positives. All right, and whether it's for you or for someone else, never let the negatives discourage you. Never.
100%.
All right.
100%.
Always. No matter how many people put hate comments, it doesn't matter. All right, like you're not writing for them. All right, and never adapt to a hater. Never adapt to a hater. Like if someone says I hate this or I hate that, and if they don't explain why, or they say you suck, just ignore them. All right, and never adapt to the hater. Never, like if if a hater says that he doesn't like the battles, you keep writing those battles. Like
Yep.
if you like writing about war and the guy doesn't like war, just keep writing about it because it's what you like. It's something that you enjoy. And if he or she don't enjoy it, then what of it?
Right.
All right?
Right. Yeah,
Like what of it?
you're doing this for you and for the people that like your writing.
Yeah.
Don't adapt what you like to appease the masses because at that point you're just selling yourself out.
Yes.
Everybody will have something to say about something, and you just got to push yourself through and do it for fun. Let loose, have fun, just let it flow, and what comes out, and people like it, they'll let you know they like it. If people don't like it, who gives a crap? Keep moving, keep moving. Life will, in the words of Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way to, to show the good in it. So that's definitely great advice. Just keep going, doing you, and focus on what you like and what you want to do, and you'll find that there are more people that like what you like than there are people who don't like it. You know,
Yeah.
so that's definitely really good. So uh, it seems like we pretty much wrapped everything up here. Again, Gamebunny025 on Wattpad. Also, same name on web novel. Go ahead and give him a read. His book is called The Phantom Trooper. It's great. It's got a lot of chapters. It's good read to read through right
Yeah.
now. He's continually updating.
Had about 31 chapters with about 80,000 words, so it's a pretty long read. And also, uh, one warning: don't get freaked out by chapter 6 of Arc 1. Don't. It's supposed to be like that. It's an isekai. All right, it's an isekai. He is in another world. All right, so, and keep in mind, everything is on the fly. All right, and look. If I can do it, then you can do it. All right.
Great.
If I can do it, anyone can.
Yep.
All right. That's a fact in life, man. All right.
But yeah, go ahead and give him a read. There's gonna be a lot of good things coming out of his corner. Uh, if I'm sure you can find him, you can message him on Wattpad, talk to him if you want to have any advice, if you want to talk to him about writing, whatever. Give him a shout out. I appreciate him coming on. It's been a great time. I think this is actually This is the first time we've hit the hour mark on the Writers Happy Hour.
Oh, is it?
It's been all 30, 40 minutes.
Uh,
Now we're at 55 minutes. We hitting an hour tonight,
nice,
baby. Uh,
nice.
so it's great. I had a fun talking to you. If anybody would like to come on and talk to me, feel free to message me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, whatever. I'll get you go ahead and schedule you in. We'll talk a little bit, kind of go through what you got. Feel free to give me a follow on Twitter, follow me on YouTube, Twitch, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next week. Who are we gonna have next week? Let me pull up my Twitter.
Did you like ask other people or what?
Yeah, I've got a lot. We're pretty solidly booked up till the end of January. We've got
Oh,
enough people. Zerathorn. We're gonna have Zerathorn on next Saturday due to holiday issues. I'm not gonna do one on New Year's, but Saturday, January 2nd, 7 p.m. Tune in. We're gonna have him on talking about his writing style and his process and everything. So I will see you guys next week and have a good one.